This young man's hair I had to attack at all angles. It was extremely thick, curly, and straight. I used clippers, shears, clipper over comb, trimmer over comb, texture shears, and point cutting. I'm going to show you exactly what I did to get this haircut. It was not easy. The first thing that I had to do was comb his hair out. It was extremely thick and I needed to make sure that the top was out of the way. Here I have an 8 guard, and what I'm doing is I don't want to go too short where it's not going to look natural. He did not want to see skin towards the bottom, but with his hair being so thick, I had to start attacking it right away. With the 8 guard on my clippers, I also am holding my comb and feeding it through the guard. The purpose of doing this is it's going to taper it pretty naturally, and that's really gonna help with blending. As I'm using the 8, I'm making sure that I have all the hair, and I'm noticing that he's got a fun little cowlick that's on the side. His hair is thick, it's a little dry from summer, and it's just a whole lot going on. So I used a 2 towards the bottom and cleaned up his sideburns a little bit around the ears, making sure that I'm not digging in too much because I still want to have a pretty natural look. I am now tapering it with my trimmers over my comb. And this is just to get a kind of a natural looking taper, and also I just don't want to bring out a guard and start doing a whole fade. This is a very good technique for that. As I'm cleaning up around the sides, I'm keeping in mind that I want it pretty natural looking, and I'm not going to use any other guards besides that 8 and a little bit of the 2 towards the bottom. To get some of this bulk down, I'm going to be using clipper over comb. I want to make sure that my comb is at an angle while I'm trimming the hair so that I don't cut too much off. This technique is really helping me because his hair is so thick. It's really guiding me on how much I need to be taking off in order to taper it into the other hair. Doing this technique properly will really save you time and make it a lot easier to blend thick hair. When I'm doing clipper over comb, I prefer to start off with it dry. Having a light colored comb with dark hair actually helps a lot too. You can really see where you need to be cutting. Up until this point, I have still been using the comb at an angle. But when I start getting closer to his sideburn area, I'm going to make the comb a little bit more flat for a tighter cut. And I'm coming in here now with some thinning shears. Thinning shears tend to get a bad rap because people don't use them properly. If you use these shears, you want to use the majority of the force towards the ends of the hair and not at the root. If you go too crazy at the root with thinning shears, you can create a lot of frizz in that person's hair. His hair is very thick, it could handle a lot, but if his hair was finer, I would most likely not use the thinning shears as much for debulking. Make sure you are using a blow dryer to get the hair off the client's face, but also to see if you've been missing any hairs. So now I'm going to make sure that the top is wet for cutting with the shears. Coming in with the Con Man. Con Man's an awesome product because it's going to basically work like a leave-in conditioner for me and help me be able to cut his hair. It's not a product that is so strong that it's going to dry and get crunchy, but it's really going to help condense the hair for me so that I can cut it a little bit easier. I'm going to part the hair and see how much longer the top is from the sides. In order for this haircut to blend, the bottom is going to have to match the top. So while I don't want the top to be quite as short as the sides, I'm going to take only about ½ an inch and gradually come back to it later as I blend it. I'm going to come in now with some point cutting. This is going to help layer it, it's going to help debulk it, and just overall give it a little bit more shape. I'm going to use a little bit more of the texture shears just to kind of calm down sides a little bit. And I'm going to go back and trim the top another inch or so, just trying to make the sides match the top, but going about it in a very gradual way because I know that the curly hair is going to spring up. Know how much to take off is by my guideline. So I can see where I need to cut because where the shorter hair meets the longer hair, I know that I'm going to have to blend that. That's about an inch or so, so I'm going to cut that off to make it the same length, but I'm doing it in a point cutting manner so that it's textured and not too harsh. I'm keeping in mind that his hair is curly and it will bounce up a little bit, so after I trim it a little bit, I do fluff it, I do check to see how it's starting to lay. I'm going to cut another couple inches off the top. Sometimes with curly hair, you have to go back over it, you have to fluff it, you have to make sure that it's laying right. Overall, I'm following my guidelines still. I can see exactly how much hair I need to trim off in order for it to blend the sides. When you cut somebody with curly or textured hair, you have to keep in mind that it's going to shrink and bounce up. An inch off of someone with straight hair can look like 2 to 3 inches off somebody with curly hair. I'm going to go in with a little bit more texture shears and going to cut a few more inches off of the top and the very front. I am checking the sides, cleaning them up a little bit and making sure that the sideburns look good and even and there's no spare hairs. And this is how it turned out. That is a smile I see, so I think he likes it. It's gonna grow out nice and gradual, and I think that overall it's a great cut for him.